Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. I am Joel Cunningham, and I'm here with Matty.
Hey, and Joel Cunningham. Perfect.
Yeah.
You nailed your name just absolutely perfectly.
I usually do.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good thing.
Some days.
Some days.
Some days I don't, and
Yeah.
then I feel stupid
Yeah,
for getting my name wrong. Yeah. So, welcome to our tube. I can't even say stuff today. I should just give up now. I can't say stuff. So
what was your brother, Jean?
blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So this is our Tube Talk episode where we review some of the latest TV shows and their episodes and talk about some of the upcoming shows, some news and things that are going to be happening with shows. And today we're going to be talking about two specific shows. One we've had an ongoing fun relationship with, which is Better Call Saul.
And this is our second last review for this season. Yeah.
Penultimate episode.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about. And then we're going to be reviewing, and I'm going to be talking about a show that I just started watching, which has been out for a number of years and just restarted on Netflix, which is Twin Peaks.
So grab your climbing gear and let's jump right on this mountain.
No hiking in that one, actually.
Okay,
no climbing,
gotcha.
But not, I guess according to the name, you would think maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe so, but yeah. So before that, though, Matt, why don't you give our listeners some different ways to get connected?
Yeah, everybody, you can connect with us in the social media universe, whether it be Facebook / Real Review Media or Twitter and Instagram at Real Review Media. And you can also find us on our website at realreviewmedia.com, where we actually have connections to all of those wonderful things, whether it be the newsletter and other social intermedia connected universe, dark universes.
Yes.
And you can also send us an email. Let us know if there's any new shows that you want us to check out. Send us an email. Let us know what's going on. We're in this like weird summertime thing where we're kind of in the calm before the storm, right before a bunch of new shows hit. So let us know what's out there, and we'll try and check them out. But yeah, that's really it. Send us an email at realreviewmedia@gmail.com.
Yeah. That sounds awesome. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about these two shows today. We're going to be probably taking on, I think you mentioned you're going to be watching, hopefully, a bit of The Mist.
The Mist, yeah, that actually premieres this week, and it's a 6-episode season 1. So based off of the Stephen King novel, yeah. Right.
So we're going to keep some of the shows going. I think right now it's a bit of a lull in a lot of the television shows for us to review and give thoughts on. We're going to keep things going with checking out maybe some older shows as well that we haven't had a chance to review or check out. And so, yeah, definitely stay tuned for all that. But why don't we then get into our first show of the two that we're going to be talking about, which is Better Call Saul.
Yeah,
for sure. Go. So what did you think of this last episode entitled Fall?
It was good, and it was a fall. Man, poor Irene.
I felt so bad for Irene. I was like, I wanted to just give her a hug. She seemed like such a nice old lady. And just Jimmy, I mean...
He really kind of broke bad on that one.
Yeah, that was the first time I think I've seen Jimmy do something through one of his, cons.
Like really despicable.
That was pretty despicable, yeah. He's definitely done some bad things, but it's usually been to people that kind of deserve it.
Yeah.
So you don't really feel too bad for him. But this one, like Irene, she definitely didn't deserve the treatment that she was getting.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, with him, he's trying to manipulate the circumstances to get her to settle on the Sandpiper case, because if she does, and when she does, he's going to get a payout of like $1 million some dollars.
Yeah, like a bunch of money.
Right, sets him up, helps him out because he can't practice law right now, and he's been struggling to try and get the money to, keep the law from going with Kim.
Yeah.
So it made sense. But I just felt like the motives and the plan and the reason that he went for it, the way that he went about going to do it, just felt really bad.
Oh, yeah.
And it made me go, isn't there some other way you could do that? Couldn't you send an anonymous letter or something that would just not make this poor lady?
Yeah, it's crazy. And
you go through so much suffering.
I mean, I think it's interesting, too, because you're kind of... Here's the thing. With this show, you like Jimmy, and you're rooting for him, even though he does things that you don't like. This was probably the worst thing that we've seen him do.
He's kind of going down that path, too, though.
But we're still kind of like, Jimmy, we don't like that, but we still kind of want to see you be successful. But I like the fact that the show, at the end, like when he's like, hey, they're going to settle, and he's trying to celebrate, he doesn't get that like satisfaction because like Kim can't celebrate with him. And he's just kind of like, but I just, okay, and I'm like, okay, you don't deserve to celebrate. That was kind of just messed up what you did.
Right. And that's one of the things that this show does so well in a way, is that a lot of times when a character overcomes a personal struggle, but like in a non-good way, in a non-beneficial way, it's kind of like you don't get it's not all good or all bad. You get kind of that gray area where it's kind of like it's good, but it's also bad, and you don't like wins aren't necessarily a win. There's a win and a loss at the same time, and a lot of things happen with that with Vince Gilligan shows. I mean, even with Breaking Bad and Walt, it's constantly a situation where it's like, yeah, he won, but did he win? Like, who's the real winner in this circumstance? And that was definitely the feel from this whole situation.
Yeah,
it feels like he is slowly going into more and more of the darker territory. I mean, with everything that happened in the prior episode with him doing the slip and fall, and staging that whole situation, and then basically threatening this guy with a lawsuit. That's the guy was a jerk, but he was just doing his job. In order to make the money that he needed in order to stay at the law firm. So it's feeling like he's going to darker and darker territory, especially with this. And you could even see it in the way that, because he uses a bingo game to kind of break, the final straw, if you will, on Irene, by rigging it to have her win after he's kind of set all the girls in the nursing home against her. And you could see him thinking about it and trying to process it. And I wasn't sure there if he was thinking like, should I do this because of legality issues, or should I do this because it's just a really mean thing to do?
Yeah.
But he ends up doing it, and you feel like, well, maybe now he's kind of been set down a path that he can't really get away from.
Right.
He can't really back out of. You know what I mean? Because he's going to have to live with that, the way that he went about doing that. It's definitely going to have some pretty significant issues on like HHM, who is now being sued by Chuck. Which I thought was a good twist.
Yeah.
Again, I still don't care about Chuck all that much.
Right.
But I do appreciate the whole situation of Chuck, kind of suing Howard in order to kind of get the money or to stay practicing, because it really felt like these are people that would do something like this, and they're kind of getting what they deserved.
For sure.
They're just desserts in a way.
Nacho.
Yes.
So Hector, took his pill, but nothing happened.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
Well, I think I think with that, it's not going to be like necessarily an immediate thing.
Yeah.
It's designed to like
over time.
Right. Over time, his body will just fail him, because he's not taking his medication, and he's thinking he's taking it, and the ibuprofen is kind of numbing it at the moment that it's like having an impact. But yeah, eventually it'll be like a tipping point.
And then I felt bad for Nacho a little bit, and his dad kind of disowning him a little bit there and kicking him out. I was like,
yeah,
you're a bad guy. But like I said before, Nacho's kind of won me over a little bit. I kind of appreciate him a little bit in this show. Something likable about him. I don't know why he's just kind of like this weird, soft-spoken, like thug,
Yeah, and you got a little bit more of his hair, like his background.
Yeah.
Because it prior to this, you just kind of always felt like he was maybe pulled into it, or kind of had to do it, or just decided to do it. It's like you've seen that he's struggled with working with him and his being a part of his family, and he'd probably been lying to his dad and telling his dad he wasn't working with him, because his dad gets pretty upset when he finds out that he'd been working with him. So I don't know. It was a good insight. It's actually going to be sad when I'm guessing he dies.
Yeah, probably.
He's probably going to pass on, but it looks like he'll probably make it to the end of the season.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
And we'll see. And I liked, I like seeing Mike over at Madrigal finally talking to Lydia, which they said, you'll be done after 20 weeks, which we all know that partnership is not going to end after 20 weeks. He's going to be working for Gus long term later on. But the big cliffhanger.
Yes. The big cliffhanger with Kim. Sorry, Cliff. Cliff, the cliffhanger.
I thought you were joking.
No, I almost did, yeah.
Okay.
With Kim.
Yep.
And we had kind of had it hinted in earlier in the episode where she like kind of almost wrecks her car.
Yeah.
She's trying to get it out of that dirt, and she finally does, and then she manages to stop it just
right
in the nick of
time.
time.
Yeah.
And I kind of saw that as a foreshadowing thing, and I thought it was pretty clever how it's like, oh, she's on the brink of getting in an accident, of failing, of hitting a wall, metaphorically, realistically. And then the very end of the episode, sure enough, she's rushing to get to her next meeting with all of her files, and split second, just boom, gets in an accident, and that actually freaked me out.
Yeah,
that moment that happened. I had my headphones on and I was watching it, and it just like jumped, startled me. Very realistic, I think, in a way, because she's just completely either zonked and zoned out from just exhaustion or just not paying attention, and just boom, hits the guardrail right on the
it's
road.
like a boulder.
Yeah, boulder or something. Yeah, and just papers everywhere. She's obviously injured. Probably not going to make it to her meeting, I'm guessing.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm thinking
she could just brush that off.
She could just walk it off.
Walk it off, Kim.
Right. I mean, what's his name did it in that drumming movie, right?
Right.
Yeah. Right. Just kidding. Yeah. I don't think she's going to be recovering from that anytime soon. So we'll see what the fallout from that is. If that makes an impact on how she's able to do her law stuff, or she's got to, find a new client or something like that. I don't know. So a bit of a cliffhanger there. I think it's ending in a pretty interesting way. We'll see if, there's been hints about potentially one of the other major players of Breaking Bad, specifically Jesse, making a cameo, and we'll see.
I'd love to see him, but I think it'll probably be 4. I feel like season 4 might be the last season.
I feel like that's, in my mindset, that's kind of what it needs to be.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't have felt that way if it hadn't have been for, I think, the 2 or 3 episodes prior to this last one. I think the last 3 episodes or so have kind of felt like they're just trying to spin it out a little bit. This last one had a lot of really significant stuff happen. Yeah. And we talked about, the show does a really good job of not just presenting fluff to kind of be there. It all ties in.
Right.
It all fits what they present. It's just sometimes it's not fluff, but it's sometimes the stuff that they do present is just not as significant.
Right.
And not as important. It's just kind of like, okay, more of just get us to the next part sort of stuff.
For sure.
So, yeah. So I thought it was good. I thought everything with Mike was cool too. And his kind of begrudgingly signing the documents and signing his life.
He's very cautious. He's like, why do you need my ID and my social security card?
Yeah.
Why, he's very I don't know what you'll tell me, He's very, very, very cautious, but we like Mike.
Yes, we like Mike as well. So, cool. What would you give, rating-wise?
8.5.
8.5. I would probably give pretty much the same.
Cool.
Around an 8.5 for this episode.
I dig.
Awesome. Cool. So then we'll move into our final show that we're going to be talking about on the podcast today. And I'm going to be talking about this mostly. Matt, if you have any questions you want to throw my way, feel free to.
Yes. So how many mountains do we climb?
2.
Okay.
Twins.
Yes.
Yes, twin mountains.
They're the same.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So we're talking about a show called Twin Peaks. It's a David Lynch show. It's actually, the creators are Mark Frost and David Lynch. As many of you may know or may not know, David Lynch is a very famous surrealist filmmaker and television show maker, creator, I guess you will. He likes to create projects and shows that have a very surrealistic, artistic at times nature. So they do tend to have some grounding in reality, a little bit, but they're not completely surrealistic. They're not like some weird auteur film type thing. So they do tend to make a little bit of sense, but they are definitely stylistically more of the surreal nature. Gotcha. Twin Peaks is a show. So this came after he'd already made a pretty big splash with a couple of other films, but had, I believe, already done and failed Dune. So Dune had already been made, and that was kind of a big flop for him. And then he came out with a couple others. I'm trying to remember what came out a little bit before this one. Let's see here.
Yeah, I don't recall.
Oh, Blue Velvet was the other one.
Blvelvet.
Yeah, Blvelvet. But the big one that kind of got him the notoriety in the Hollywood, LA type world was Elephant Man.
Okay.
That was and a lot of people have probably seen that one as a pretty crazy film, dark film. About a guy with the elephantitis and his struggles and stuff. So, but then, after Blue Velvet, I believe that he went on to make this show. And so I don't know a lot. I've seen some David Lynch stuff, and I didn't know a lot about the production in of itself of Twin Peaks. This is a film, the main reason that I took it on is because it just got renewed by Netflix for at least a 2017 new season, so at least a single run. And a lot of people are saying some very positive, good things about it. I didn't know a lot about it myself. I had heard bits and pieces about how weird it is and crazy it kind of gets, and I was interested because I'm a fan of checking out things that are just kind of like non-standard, as far as film goes. I appreciate people trying to kind of push the threshold a little bit with, the way that they present things and the way they show things, doing things a bit differently. And we're just looking for content right now too. So figured, new show for me that's got a new season coming out. Why not go check it out? And so at this point, I'm only about 4 episodes in. So I haven't had a chance to watch it.
So how long has it been on for? Do you know? Is it a couple seasons?
It's got 2 seasons,
okay.
1990 through 1991. I'm not exactly sure on all the reasons behind its cancellation. There might be some reason. The thing is I kind of want to watch it through, and then go back and kind of research some different stuff. It was on Showtime. Was the original run. I'm guessing it just probably didn't have the numbers that it needed, but it's got about 20 some episodes each season. And my feeling so far with it, the funny thing was, is I'm only a couple episodes in, and I was really expecting with the first episode to just be kind of like, what is going on? This is so crazy. This is weird. This is surreal. It's different. And the first episode I actually really didn't like. Okay. I actually really had a hard time with the first episode. And one of the things I will say about it is it's aged a bit. You know what I mean? Sure. It's a film that came out the beginning of 1990. Or a show, I should say. And so there's music things and there's technology things and there's clothing choice things that are just like, okay, that's aged and that's obviously, a bit different now. But I can forgive a lot of that, obviously, because there's nothing you can do about that. That just is the way it is. The problem that I had with it really was it was very melodramatic. I mean, it was almost to the point of being soap opera-esque at times with the music and the reactions and the over-the-topness of people like, oh, like, screaming like, oh, she's dead, and the way that everybody's like, this person's sleeping with that person and they don't know it, and this person's abusive and that person's on drugs and da-da-da. It just felt very...
Sounds like a soap opera.
Absolutely. It felt very much like a soap opera, and there was very little to it for me to grasp onto that made me go like, okay, well, why is this, like, how is this a David Lynch project? Like, where is this weird or surreal at all? And I was like, well, maybe he's doing it as almost like a satire. Like, he knows that it's that way and he's just playing that up. But, I wanted to give it more time to kind of do its thing. And the episode picks up a lot more. So it's a big cast of a lot of people. David Lynch likes to work with people like on an ongoing basis. If he brings somebody in for a project, I'm seeing that he kind of likes to bring them onto other projects. And so like one of the main guys, Dale Cooper, is played by Kyle MacLachlan, who is also one of the main actors from Dune. Yeah. And so there's other actors that he's brought on. So a couple other names, Michael Ontkeen, Madchen Amick, Dana Ashbrook, Richard Bamer, Laura Flynn Boyle, and Charlene Fenn. Warren Frost. You've got a ton. Peggy Lipton, who plays a really funny character in the show. So you've got a pretty big cast of characters because he's dealing with... It's more or less the story of this guy, Dale Cooper. He's a special agent for the FBI. There's a murder of a young girl, and he goes into the town to investigate the murder and to find out like the events before and proceeding and kind of figure out what killed her. And prior to him showing up in the show in the first episode, because he shows up about halfway through, the show very much felt like it was like a straight up soap opera type thing. Right. It actually really starts to pick up. And that's kind of what kept me on board was when he shows up, Special Agent Dale Cooper. He plays this really, I don't know how you would explain it, very quirky, kind of silly, idiosyncratic type guy who's like a perfect example is he's like, hey, if you know about this diner that's on the way up here, he's like, I stopped there and had the best pie ever. But he's like an FBI agent and he gets like super excited about random things. You know what I mean? So like,
sounds like me.
He's like, I need a place. It does. Yeah. He's like, I need a place that's clean. It's got a television and it has to have good coffee, but that's all. I don't need anything special. I don't need anything crazy. And he's just very disciplined and structured, but he's not like that way in a legalistic, rude, unfriendly way. Like he says to the guy in the very beginning, like the sheriff that's there, he's like, look, we got to talk about this now. It's not a comfortable thing to talk about, but we got to talk about it. I'm going to be in charge. I'm going to tell you what to do, but I hope we can work together and I hope it can be a good relationship. And he's doing it though in like a friendly kind of playful banter way. And it really makes you like him. Okay. He's a very cool, amiable kind of fun guy, and that
kind of reminds me of like a child sticking to like a schedule or something.
He's
like my responsibility to take
almost
it
in a way he's almost like a kid. Okay, but he's a very, very, very intelligent kid. Like he's intuitive to the point where he's like a Sherlock Holmesy intuitive, and he picks up on like hints on things, and some of it is that surrealistic nature. Yeah, like there's the scene that really got me laughing and like just enjoying the craziness of the show so far was like in the third episode. He does this thing. It's like this ritual that he learned to figure out how to like proceed with an investigation. It's this rock throwing ceremony, where he literally writes all these names on a board and then has everybody stand and do like a specific thing as he throws like say a name and then he throws a rock at a jar, and if it hits the jar and breaks, then like that's the person that he needs to investigate. And he's like throwing them and like one like hits the stump and it falls over, but it doesn't break. So that means this thing. And like one of them bounces off the stump and like hits one of the cops in the forehead. And the guy's like, ow. And he's like, what does that mean? And like, yeah, that doesn't mean anything. So it's weird and quirky and it's funny at times. And then it goes into these like kind of weirdly dark moments where it talks about, people that have been like tortured and they're, drug addicted and spousal abuse and cheating on each other and like all these and it's getting darker and darker. And so I'm finding it more enjoyable. I'm starting to like it a lot more, and I'm getting more invested in the characters and the story. Prior to the events of Dale showing up in the second and third episodes, it really felt kind of too soap opera-y.
Sure.
Too kind of. I mean, even if it was tongue in cheek, even if it's satire, it just was really bad and really tough to me. So it's kind of coming into its own. It's getting a lot more enjoyable to me. It started to get in some pretty crazy. There's like a dream sequence that happens in the third episode that's just like, okay, whoa, that's pretty crazy. Like, what's happening here? And so the surreal stuff is starting to kick in a little bit, and I'm starting to enjoy it a lot more. And so I'm excited to give it a full run and kind of see where it goes. It's frustrating me because coming in on it this far in the future from when the show's already out, like I already know that
it's like 26 or 27 years,
right? Like the main mystery of trying to figure out like how this poor girl dies. Like that doesn't get solved, you know what I mean? Because they just released a new season, and so it's like I kind of know where the end is at right now, and that makes it a bit tough because there's not that much suspense in regards to like, is he gonna figure it out? Is he gonna get it solved? But there's enough with the characters and there's enough with the story. It's not shot amazingly well, to be honest. I don't think it's like an amazing cinematography type thing. But it's interesting enough with the story and the characters, and that's like a key thing is good characters.
Yeah.
And it's interesting enough to keep me watching.
Cool.
And so I would definitely suggest, it's not a kid show. It's got definitely some very adult content. But Matt, if you get a chance to check it out, they've got it streaming on Netflix right now.
Sweet.
I would definitely encourage people. Yeah, check it out.
Sweet, man. What would you rate what you've seen so far?
So far, it's hard to say. I would probably give it about an 8 out of 10.
Okay, cool.
So far, which is pretty good. Yeah. So, do you have any thoughts, any questions?
No, that's it.
No. Cool. All right,
dude.
So, we're going to go ahead and then wrap things up then on the Tube Talk episode. Give you a few quick ways to get connected to us again. A few quick ways, not kick.
Yeah, kick, quick, whatever.
Kick yourself into gear with these quick ways to get connected. So, you can check out our website, which is realreviewmedia.com. We've got a newsletter there. We're always posting good content up. And then we have our Facebook, which is facebook.com/realreviewmedia. We also have our Instagram and our Twitter, which are both at realreviewmedia.
Yeah.
You can follow us, check us out there. Click on the little follow link and see what we've got going on those different things. Matt, you're always posting cool stuff.
Do it. Yep.
And then for sure, we'd love to hear from you. Maybe you've got a show you'd like for us to check out. We do take our listeners' suggestions for shows and try to give them a look-see if we can. Once we get enough people that make suggestions on different shows, we do try to check them out. So love to hear from you. You can email us at realreviewmedia@gmail.com.
Do it.
So, anything more, Matt?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, it's been real.
It's been real.